Hey there, Har here, and today we're going over Neltharus. Starting off, we're going to go through the MDT route. So, right here off the bat, I will usually roar. I'll pull these two wardens along with this pack, and I'll pull them all over to this left side. And the reason why I do this is because there are these dragon chains, which I'll show in the VOD in a bit. Essentially what the chains do is it mini stuns the mobs as well as deal roughly like 30 to 33% damage to the mobs. And it works primarily on all of the mobs downstairs. It does not work on these lava bears. We've tried snapping these down to use with the chains, but it does not work. The main thing with this first pull that you need to be careful with are the hunters. On fort weeks, we will limit it to 3 on the first pull since we have everything. We have lust, defensive, so you just pretty much pop everything as you're grouping them. They will leap at you and they'll leave a bleed, which does chunk quite a bit. DPS need to be careful as you're gathering this, and you do want to pop Incarn early. You don't have to pop it right away, but you do want to pop it early because obviously you're not doing too much. You're not generating too much rage. You will be kind of low on Iron for stacks, so just frenzy regen it up pretty much. And we like to stop right here. Dragon head chain, and the reason why we stop right here is because there's a dragon head here that you can press the chain and just drag it. I believe the way the dragon head chain works is you click on it, it's like a 1.5 second, maybe 2 second cast, and then a chain will be applied to you. You run through the mobs, and I'm pretty sure the first mob the chain touches, it will do an explosion around your character, which will stun the mobs as well as do damage. I know a lot of people will try to grab the train and run kind of an arc. So they'll try to like run an arc. Whoops. They try to run an arc like this and then run the chain through the mobs, which is really bad. You pretty much want to stun it immediately and let your DPS know that. Because again, this stuff does hurt. You want to group them and stun them as fast as possible before the hunters can leap out again, getting, you know, a second or even a third round of bleeds. And then on fort weeks, we'll continue chaining. We still lust just to get lust on cooldown. You lust, you pull pack 2. Usually for the first set of chains, we'll use 2 to 3 people, and then once you chain it into the next pack, the remaining people will use another dragon head, which is right here, and you can use it again, delete the rest of it, and then we go back over towards the right side. And the reason why we go to the left at the start is to get the debuff on cooldown. When you use a chain, I believe it's a 3-minute debuff to where you cannot use the next chain. And another bug we found was the dragon head. Some dragon heads, I don't know, for whatever reason, you can't pick up even though you don't have the debuff. I don't know what causes that bug, but if anybody knows, feel free to let me know. So heading off to this right side, you want to be careful of this pack, or the pat. The thaumaturges will only cast Molten Core, which transforms the little rock boys into the Molten Explosions, which does the stacking debuff infinitely every 3 seconds. And that is pretty much a guaranteed wipe unless, you know, you can kill it fast. I think you will feel it at like 3 to 4 stacks. So never let that cast go off. Very dangerous. So for this area, we usually like to separate it to make sure that it's only one thaumaturge at a time, or no rock boys. one or the other. If you have to pull this pat, like say for example, when you get back here and the pat is right here in this corridor, it's fine, just pick it up. What you can do instead is you can just pull it with, you can pull it with this stuff as well, or you can just finish off the Thaumaturge. You can just kill it solo by itself, and then you can chain it in. And what you can skip instead are these 3 rock elemental boys who are patting. But I'm pretty sure you just want to wait for the pat to go away. It's probably safer. By waiting for it to go away, what I mean is, if this is in the corridor, you can wait for it to pat over here. You don't have to wait for it to pat all the way to the left, because that would take a lot more time. What you can do instead is just pull this pack with this pack. What this pack has is an extra Thaumaturge compared to this one. The only dangerous thing is the Magma Conflagration, which is a channel for 3 seconds on any random target. You can fear it, knock, stun, disorient, anything you can think of you can use. Except for maybe, I guess, control undead and things like that. The MCs, you can't use it against them, they are giants. But everything else works. Stuns, knockbacks, they will all stop the channel. If not, I mean, you know, it can be healed through. It's not the worst. Your healer will just, you know, have to do a lot more single target healing. So it's not that bad. And then once you kill the Thaumaturges, you can chain it into the Ornamentals and just bring it all the way up to here. This pack only has 1 Thaumaturge, so just kicks, and that's pretty much about it. The other mobs don't do too much. Plunderers, they do kind of this swirl. It's like a red swirl. I mean, swirls are just a dodge thing, so not much to say there. And then Spine Crushers do, I believe, have a bit of a frontal. This one says it does physical damage to an enemy, but I swear I've seen it cleave onto my teammates. Cannot confirm though. I want to say when it has killed my teammates, it might be a Fervent Strike where maybe I wasn't in melee range, so it targeted one of my teammates while I was kiting to the next pack. That might have been what happened. And then as far as this boss goes, so this boss is a bit of a weird one. The way you want to do this boss is, say for example, I'm tanking the boss right here, right where I am. You want your teammates to be pretty much by star, and that way it'll charge to star. You move to the right, so you move right here. You drag the boss back out. Your teammates will naturally, you know, try to drop puddles next to existing puddles. They'll move left slightly. They'll continue moving left slightly until the next charge, and then they'll be at Skull. Boss charges from where I am to Skull. You again move right, and you drag the boss back out, away from the puddles that he just charged out with. Like, as he charges, he leaves puddles. So you want to drag him out to the right, and this is like the fastest way to get him out of those puddles. And then you kind of just do this zigzag pattern to where boss charges this way, he gets dragged out to the middle right here, and then he charges again, gets dragged out again, and then you continuously do that. It's not going to be that clean. It's very difficult to do it like this because puddles don't always perfectly drop on players. And your team might not even know about this. But generally speaking, if you can, as a tank, try to drag the boss like out sideways, then try to do so. You essentially want to continue moving this way and dragging it out. It's okay if it runs through like 1 puddle, but if it's running through like 5 puddles, then, you know, you could probably be doing something better with positioning. I know there are cases where, okay, so say for example, there's puddles all across this because you were doing this at the start, and then one of your DPS messes up, and the boss charges straight through all these puddles. What do you do then? Ideally, you just cat form across, switch back to bear, and then you go back to this side, because this part of the room should be empty again. It should be empty. There shouldn't be any more lava puddles in that area. If you were able to at least bait the first 2 charges correctly, the third charge going back towards that side, like where you guys initially started, should be absolutely fine. The puddles should have disappeared by then, or it should be disappearing shortly. So now, yeah, you're just coming back to here, and then once again, if your teammates can do it, then have them kind of stay back a little bit as you're gathering mobs. There's another dragon head chain here. So I just grab everything, bring it over to here. And again, there are 2 hunters, one right there, one right here. And there's one more thing that hurts right here, Bone Tender. Bone Tender just lobs random bones at your teammates. So you want to kind of group this up as fast as possible and use the chains as fast as possible so that you can stun them and just kill them as quickly as you can. So you'll probably use 3 chains right here. And then you can pull the next 2 packs in here, pull them back out, use the same dragon chain head with your last 2 players, and then finish it up. And then you go into the boss. So all of this area, it's just about controlling using dragon head chains. You'll have these trainees doing frontals, things like that. What you can do to help out your teammates, because you're pulling all of it next to the dragon head chain, is you can use Disorienting Roar to stop the leaps, to stop the frontals. You can also Vortex when the hunters leap out. Like, you can pre-drop Vortex so that when they do leap out, they're stacked again. I don't believe it stops the bleed. I don't remember, actually. It might stop the bleed, but drop a Vortex. That way they stay grouped so that when the chain does hit them, they get stunned, and then they'll die very quickly. So it's all about control here. It's not about how much damage you do. It's all about control. Ideally, if you had an AoE stun once they're grouped, you stun it real quick so that you can use the chains on it. That would be the easiest way to do it. But if you don't have an AoE stun, then again, just use Vortex, Disorienting Roar. That's all you can do as a bear. There's not much else you can control if it's a pug. Okay, for this boss, I don't know what the best strat is for the intermission part. The regular phase is very simple, obviously. It's just, dodge the frontal, healer needs to heal the bleed. Not much else to say. But during the intermission, I've done breaking 2 chains immediately as fast as possible. And I've also done breaking chains 1 at a time. I've noticed breaking them 1 at a time is usually safer in terms of healing. But if your DPS, for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe gets a very bad swirly, it might kill them. But honestly, it's not too bad. Like, the rot damage in that phase is not, it's nothing significant. So I think staying in the intermission for a longer duration is fine. I think it's safer to break 1 at a time. Because I'm pretty sure the chain never goes on the healer. So your healer should be free to move around. And then I guess the only other thing is let your melee know they cannot be inside the boss's circle during that time. Yeah, this is not something you can really do as a tank to control. It's primarily your DPS need to know the fight, to be honest. I'm trying to think of if there's anything else I usually do. Oh, I guess during the intermission, he usually does his leap. And what I will try to do is I will try to position myself so that I'm on top of somebody's chain already, so that it breaks 1 chain immediately. Aside from that, there's not much in terms of boss positioning that you can really do. You just drag the boss through the chains. I have also seen DPS drag their chain through the boss. I think a combination of both is the best. You dragging the boss through the chains, and the DPS also dragging their chain through the boss. Okay, going to the next pull. This one is also a very dangerous pull. Very, very dangerous. Right off the bat, Hunter, Bone Tender, Trainees. What I like to do is I like to tag these. with Moonfire, and I try to tag as many as I can while I'm still moving. And then you grab the Bone Tender, you tag everything, and same thing again, Disorienting Roar, Vortex, and there is a Dragon Head Chain right here. If you can, one of your range goes far to pull this and brings it back here. You can't do it because for whatever reason, the mobs will actually reset. All the things you pulled right here, they will actually reset when you run up the stairs. I believe that's a bug. I don't know if it still works that way, but just be warned, the tank cannot go pull this. Coming upstairs, very dangerous pack right here. 4 living flares, lots of interrupts. I would always recommend DPS kill these first, because the other 2 guys you can chain into the next pack if you need. Yeah, very dangerous pack up here. And then Lava Bears, Iron Torches don't really do anything. Iron Torch, I believe, does this cast mode of combustion that can be dispelled. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. You can chain it into this next pack. I have opted to not do this pull, actually, on Fort Weeks. On Tyrant Weeks, you can pull this, but on Fort Weeks, and especially if you're pugging, okay, these 2 Bone Splitters are actually very lethal. Their Dragon Bone Axe is a bleed that they throw on people, chunks quite a lot, and Pierce Marrow also chunks a lot. They leap onto one of your ranged. If you feel like you can manage it with your Disorienting Roars and Typhoons, then do so. But be warned, it does do a lot of damage and can easily one-shot if your other DPS are not paying attention. And the way to skip it is you just hug the wall. You don't need Shroud or anything, you just hug the wall and you go through. If it's at the bottom of the stairs on the pat, just wait a little bit, wait for it to go back, and then you can hug the wall and go through. And again, you can skip the mini boss, just hug the wall all the way through. Same thing again here, 4 flares, very dangerous. Blacksmith does do an AoE stomp, so what I usually like to do is, if I don't need a CC at the start, I'll let a couple of flares go out, let the healer heal it, and then during the stomp is when I will use my Disorienting Roar / Typhoon with Vortex to stop the cast. That guarantees that nobody dies. Because the only way I think anybody dies is if it's double flare cast or a forge stomp into flare cast, into 1 flare cast. On higher key, that is. So that is something you can do. And then for here, kind of the same thing. Don't pull this all at once unless you're, strapped for time. Kill the flares first and then pull these up. And I do kill them up here. I don't believe these things can ever pull the pat, from what I recall. I've tried doing it before, but they kind of like scale the stairs to where it'll never pull. It's a little weird. For the boss, I usually stack my puddles as a tank in one spot, doesn't matter where, but I just stack in one spot on the wall. And wait until the circle appears under you, and that's when you know you can wild charge back in, or for me, I will use my interrupt to charge back in. And I will charge at him while he's mid-leap. Essentially, all you have to do is the moment you see the circle, you run at him and you spam your interrupt. And that way, you'll be able to charge out of it. Because if you don't get out, it will actually kill you. I have done that before. Somebody asked the question, can you do that big off a pull in the start on the 22-23 keys? Yes. And I'm about to show that video in a second. So, just gonna go through the last couple of pulls. These iron torches, where are they? Upstairs. These iron torches, you can actually snap downstairs. Have your teammates drop down first. The tank should be the last one to drop, because the iron torches will, for whatever reason, start meleeing people if you're not in range. And then I kind of would like to wait at the bottom right here a little bit, let them snap down, and then I chain it into the next pack. As for this last area, so on Tyran weeks, I will do this instead. Actually, or on Fort weeks, I'll do this instead. I'll actually do this. I actually do pull the pat on Fort weeks, and then I'll pull this pack with it. On Tyran weeks, I do think you should pull this G33 and then skip the Phoenix just to save a bit of time. But if you want to skip both Phoenix packs, that's also a-okay. For 16 right here, I would not recommend pulling them both until you have Incarn, because pull 15 is an Incarn pull because there's 2 Wardens. And then what you do is you pull these 2 and you kind of let Incarn reset, or your defensives reset, one or the other. And then once you almost have Incarn, then you can chain it into 16. And then you can do it like that. And then the last thing for the boss, I would, generally speaking, look for piles of gold and then drag the boss towards those piles of gold so that your DPS, while they're moving out, because sometimes they're not tracking the frontal cone and they're too far out, they don't have a movement speed, and then they get fucked. So try to drag the boss to piles of gold. I guess on 16, I forgot to mention, these Wardens, they do hurt a lot, okay? The Wardens hurt a lot. If you do not have defensives or something like that, kite. And you can actually range them. I think you only need to move out like about 8 yards, 8 to 10 yards for the Burning Slash to not go off. I want to say it's actually a little bit bigger, but cannot confirm yet. Blazing Slashes, pure magic damage, Bear's Worst Nightmare. I want to say if you can kite like along the edges of this room, or do an even bigger oval. Like you can use this entire area to kite, right? If you can do that, do it. If you don't have Incarn and like all your defenses are down, just kite. It's not worth dying for. There are 3 Warden, or no, I think it's 2 Wardens because there's another caster in here. Yeah, MDT is not updated, if I remember correctly. I think there's another Lava Mancer in this pack right here. But anyways, just kite a wide circle if you don't know what the range is. I also died, I think, in my run that I'm about to show you, because I thought I kited a big enough circle, but it wasn't, and so I still got hit. All right, without further ado, let's hop into the video and let's just go through it. All right, so here's the Neltharus pull. Off the bat, I pull the first 2. I'll roar to the left, pick up that pack, just tag them, make sure I have Moonfire on all the mobs. I'm just Moonfiring them. And then, again, these 2 hunters will leap around. You'll see them leap, and Prodigital right there has a bleed, Ram has a bleed, and they do hurt a lot, okay? So your team definitely needs to pop defensives. And then I popped Incarn early because, again, I'm low on Iron First stacks. I don't have too many until I have Incarn. So as you can see here, there's not much healing that can be done. You're also taking a buttload of damage. And then I pick up the chain with SI because I'm taking a lot of damage and I want to just stun them as fast as possible. So let me just rewind again real quick. As you can see here, the moment I stun, it stops everything. It stops everything. And then that's when your DPS can chain stun and continue blowing them up. As you can see there again, they get chain stunned. And I believe it does go through raging. We also did lust this pack, and we only used 2. You can use 3 to instantly delete it. I think that's probably the safer way to go about it. And then for this next pull, it's kind of the same thing. We're gonna drag it to the Dragon Head chain, and then use the remaining 3. We're still not perfected on this route yet, but as you can see here, Dragon Head chains do a shit ton of damage, and they will just delete the pull. As you can see there, stun 1, and then hopefully the other 2 do it soon. Oh, maybe they didn't. Oh, was this one of the weird ones where we decided to go straight right? I think it was. Yeah. We were talking about whether we want to go back to the other side, and we just decided not to. That's right. But the reason why we go, or I like to go back the other way, is so that the for the debuff to wear out. I come over here at the start to get the debuff on cooldown, and then we go the other way to let it reset, so that for this next pull we can delete it instantly. All of this, stuff over here, we can delete it instantly again. So right here we only have 2 chains to use. I drop the vortex, and then again you can roar, things like that, stop it, and then once the chains get going, stun, stun, done. And as you can see there, they're already at 20%, 2 chains. So it's just all about control at the start, and then we pick up the rest of this. Obviously no chains for this because we decided to go this way. I'm just going to fast forward a little bit. This is just doing all of it regularly. Not much to learn here. Alright. So in this boss fight, I'm just going to fast forward a bit. During the intermission, what my warrior likes to do is he likes to break his chain first. So he'll usually leap. So I pretty much don't have to move the boss at all. So he'll leap and he'll break the chain immediately at the start. And then I wait for the debuff to wear out, and then I'll pull it through the second one. But unfortunately, I kind of messed up the timing here. Well, not necessarily messed up. It was just kind of a weird thing because I had a melee on, one on each side, and so it was just kind of weird. But if you can, try to let that first one. Thank you for the sound alert.
Riding in my Fiat, you really have to see it.
You want to let the debuff fall off before you break the second, and then same thing for the third. And then obviously when he's stunned, 100% damage increase, pop your CDs, just blow him up. Ideally, towards the end of this, you want to have Incarn. If you have Incarn, save it for the next part, because again, you do need Incarn to group everything up. It hurts a lot. Okay. So I tell my team to kind of wait back a little bit. As you can see, they're waiting back. That way the hunters leap on me. And I can survive all of it with Incarn and everything. So as you can see there, the hunter leapt on me. And that's their signal to go. I have Incarn. Try to hold for it. If you want to do more damage, you can hold it for as long as possible if you want. And then my rep pally runs over to grab the next pack. And then again, I drop the vortex so that they can't leap away. I roar for the frontals, and as you can see right there, they instantly died. And that was, I think that was 3 chains, or it might have been 2 chains immediately. 1, 2. No, it's just 2 chains. Sometimes it bugs out and does that. I don't know why sometimes it does more damage than it's supposed to. That is something I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, right there, that was a lot more damage than it should have been. So that's 1 hit. Or no, maybe, is that 2 hits? No, that's 1 hit, yeah. My DK still has a hit, still has his chain. So it was 1 hit, which brought them down to 60%. I'm not sure why it did that. But then the second hit did the regular, like, 30 something. The first hit did like 60 something. I don't know why it does that. I want to say like it can crit randomly, which is very weird. It might scale with your crit, or it might work off of your like crit percent, something like that, maybe. No idea. And then right here, you can see that I have the bug. Let me go back real quick. You can see that I hovered my mouse over the dragon chain and it didn't give me the cursor to click. And so I know that I was bugged. I don't have the debuff for the chain, so I should be able to click it and use the chain, but I don't have it. So unfortunately, I was not able to use it. And then same thing right here. There's also this bug where if you kind of like run an arc around, I don't know whether it's the player that needs to hit the target or whether it's a chain that needs to hit the target. I want to say it's the player because actually maybe not. As you can see here, this chain is going straight through them and it just doesn't explode. And I have no idea why that occurs. It eventually does explode, but it just wasn't exploding for the longest time. But again, use your chains, you can explode them all. We go up here, we kill the melts. Again, focus the melts as fast as you can. The melts are the things that kill. When it's double on one player, it is guaranteed, you know, they're going to die if they don't pop a defensive. So it hurts a lot. Okay, and then we're just going. We skip, again, the pat on Fort Week. On Fort Week, hug with right. Pull the flares again. And then same thing again, just kill flares as fast as you can. Typhoon, knocks, fears, disorients, everything works. Yeah, I'm just gonna fast forward a little bit. Not too much to watch here. So right here, this next pull. Usually if you tag the Bone Splitter first, it'll leap at you. And it actually will do a good chunk of damage if you don't have an Iron first stack. So do keep that in mind, as you can tell right here. Even with one Iron first stack, it actually did a good amount of damage. So right here, I tag him, I pop Bark. He actually leapt on me with no Iron first stacks, actually. I just noticed. And it still did like 40% of my health, so certainly hurts quite a bit. And then what I'll do here, again, finish the flares, and then I'll kind of chain. Oops. Okay, I didn't finish them, but I did let them get low. And then Bone Splitter, every single time he does like a leap or the axe toss, try to interrupt it as much as you can. So this one, the bleed, a disorienting roar, you can knock it, stun, anything works. And then unfortunately here, I didn't get aggro of the blacksmith before the dragon went out. I want to say there's a bit of a monkey brain on my DK, but I definitely could have gotten aggro of it. So partially on me as well. But yeah, just finish this. And then we go boss. Okay, so on this boss right here, unfortunately my healer died on the first one. You'll see in a second. So I get knocked. Right there, I dropped a puddle. I'm just going to use that spot for the rest of the fight to stack my puddles. Again, I get knocked back, and then spamming charge the moment, you know, somewhere midair, my charge will go through. By charge I mean my interrupt. That's how I use it. That's what I use to get out of it. If you have him knock you from far away enough, then it won't matter. You can just walk out. But if it's close by, then you definitely need to charge out. And interrupt is sometimes better than wild charge, because wild charge you can't use if he's close, if he's too close. As you can see here, every single time I just interrupt to get out. Okay, just gonna fast forward again. And obviously you can save after the wildfire procs for the intermission damage. I use bristling fur for it to help out with the healing a bit. And then same thing here again. Just hug the wall to get out. We tried to go right, but yeah, ended up going left. You can go right or left, just depends on the pat. And right here, wait for your teammates to drop down before you go down. We drop down. And then we tried to use chains on him, I believe on this one. And you'll notice it doesn't work, yeah. So I dragged it back, and then you'll see that we tried to use chains right there. We tried to use chains on him, and it did not work at all. They did nothing. Okay. So pull this into the next pack. Well, we finished because we just wanted to be a little safe, but wait, did we? Where is it? Did I pull it into the next pack? I'm so confused. Where's the Phoenix? Oh, we haven't done the other side yet. I'm trolling. I am trolling. Yeah, this is a different route. That's right. Right here. Yeah. We hug right. And then right here again, 3 thaumaturges. You can stop them with disorients, roars, fears, anything. But if we did do the other route, those 2 iron things that we snap down, you would do it with the Phoenix pack. If you want to do it this route, if you want to do it this way as well, that's fine. I do think it should be slower though, because chains are just so damn strong. And then again, you pull the rock boys up, the pat, and then it's just 1 thaumaturge, very simple. Kick, dodge, that's about it. The pack does hurt a little bit from the smashes, so make sure you do have Iron First stacks up. Ask for a defensive if you have to, but just as long as you have Iron First stacks, it should be okay. Dude, the number of afflicted we let go off this key was crazy. Okay. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit, and then hopefully you'll see on this Magma Tusk what I mean by kind of zigzag motion. So right here, it's about to do its first charge. Ooh, oh yeah, we had a really bad charge. I completely forgot about that. The DK was new to the strat. So it charged over here, so we just decided to leave it over here. Hopefully we can, hopefully I can show it from this side instead. Okay, yeah, it should be coming up. So the boss will charge over here, and then I like to drag it sideways right here, just like that, so that it's immediately out of it. So the first one is usually fairly easy. There aren't random magma puddles. But as you can see, there's going to be more and more magma puddles dropping down. And your team will try to charge, so right here. So as you see, if there's a bad charge like that, how do you fix it? Ideally, what you can do is you just run far away, because the boss does run kind of fast. Okay, boss does run kind of fast. Or if you were better than me, you would instantly recognize you should be on the other side of this boss. What I should have done is I should have been on the other side of the boss and dragged it through this little alleyway over here. That would have been the smarter way to do it. But unfortunately, he was already charging, and I had to eat the charge, or you know, make him drag or drag him through all of this. So right here, I dragged him out, and luckily enough, I dragged him out enough for the spray to not be inside, or for the spray to not be buffed, essentially. When he's inside a puddle, he's buffed. And it'll do, I think it was 50% extra damage. So that's what you want to avoid completely. But I definitely fucked up there. But as you can see, 2 charges, and the other, like where we initially started, is clean again. There's no puddles. So you only needed to do 2 clean charges for the most part, then you can use the other half of the room again. So this is what I should have done in the first place. So you can see, he makes a charge. There's puddles on the right side. I don't want to drag him towards the right. I want to drag him towards the left. As you can see here, I'll move left to kind of drag him out. And then that way, the lava spray won't one-shot one of your teammates. And now for this pack, I will chain in a bit up top. the reason why I'm holding Incarn is because I'm waiting for waiting to pull this pack with a pack up top. As you can see here, I am just getting destroyed because I haven't popped Incarn yet. But right there, as you can see, there is a Blazing Slash, and I can outrange it. So he's going to cast Blazing Slash. If you're running like a straight line out, it will not hit you. You can see here, cast went off, I took 0 damage. He will continue to cast it, okay? He will non-stop continue to cast it until the frontal shield that he does, the frontal, that takes priority over the slash. But until he does that, he will continuously cast Blazing Slash until it hits. So that is something to take note of. And right there, I ate a frontal. For whatever reason, it wasn't showing. The mechanic wasn't showing. Like right there. He's casting it on me, but I don't see it. Nice bug, by the way. And I should get an audio alert because of that, actually. I guess, I mean, I technically can see it if I was paying attention to the cast. But I use audio alerts for this pull. And try not to point the frontals at your team. Like, unlike what I just did there. I kind of murdered one of my DPS. Okay, yeah. So right here, I'm like trying to kite in a circle. But I'm failing a bit because I'm still getting hit. I want to say I do die here. So right there, I was able to dodge one of them. Maybe it was a different run that I died. But you need to run a big enough circle to where, like, when you're doing the U-turn, it cannot hit you as you're, like, circling back. That's why I say you want to kite a big circle. It doesn't necessarily need to be an oval. It just needs to kind of be like a circle-ish. Alright, I'm going to fast forward a bit. And then for the boss. This boss is one of the bosses where you want to run Dispel. Obviously, because you are one of the few classes that can decurse. If you're the only class that can decurse, it is fine. That is sufficient. What I will normally do is I actually leave the curse on myself because there's very little tank damage on this. And then I'm just looking around. I kind of fucked up and didn't get one of the items, but I'm pretty sure it was at the top of the stairs. Ideally, the melee leave one for the tank, like one that's close. That way, you don't have to move the boss around too much. But, for the most part, fairly straightforward boss. Always check your treasure, what it is beforehand. And then you can help out with the fixate ads by dropping Typhoons, doing knockbacks during intermission specifically. During the regular phase, it's not lethal. If they died during the regular phase to it, then, I mean, they probably deserve to die. But during the intermission, for sure, drop Typhoons, drop Vortexes, because you're going to break the shield immediately. And then this is the damage amp phase where you want to pump. So if they don't have to move away from the ad, perfect, because that way they can plant and do damage. And always try to prioritize dispelling the player that has Molten Gold on them. So that they don't have 2 ticking dots on them, just 1. Alright, and that's pretty much about it for the key. Hope you guys enjoyed the commentary video.